Hi Subi, I have a wish list for you. But before I tell you what my wish list is, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I moved out of the city over 10 years ago, and I now live in the forest off the grid in Canada. And well, actually, let me show you a little bit about where I live, just to what surrounds my house, so you can get an idea. That's my old car. It's a Hyundai Santa Fe, and I am absolutely surrounded, encased, you might even say, in forest, in sort of a higher elevation in Atlantic Canada. And really all my neighbors are also. So it's not, now that the leaves are gone, you can't really tell, but this is completely covered. And maybe the back would show more, maybe not. But anyway, I have other videos that you can go check for and verify where I live. And so I have a wish list for you, and I kind of came up with it once I bought this one, and now I want to sell that one. In where we live, our region, our immediate surroundings, there's about 20 minutes of dirt roads, potholes, country roads, back country roads that are not smooth. And although that car served us well, our Hyundai, we were looking to this time buy a car that would be better for this environment. We don't go off-roading. We don't even go near off-roading. But you might say that our roads, about the 20-minute radius of us, is almost like off-road. So we needed something that had sort of an off-road capability. Now, we had narrowed it down to pickup trucks, a Jeep or a Jeep-like vehicle, or your Subaru, your Wilderness in particular. So the pickup trucks, well, I mean, they're made for work, and although they have better shocks and better tires and probably more comfortable rides for around here, we only go into town once a week, and to the nearest town that is about 80 kilometers away, 30 kilometers of it is sort of a rougher roads, but the rest of the 50 kilometers is smooth highway driving. So it didn't really make sense to buy this heavy pickup truck with the back that is open. You can't keep our heated because we only go into town once a week. So in the winter it would be too cold to keep your groceries, and the summer it would be too hot to keep your groceries. So then we thought about a Jeep or a Jeep-like car. And that too, you're paying for their off-road capabilities. And we're not really going off-road. And with those chunky tires and sitting up higher off the ground, we realized that they are not going to be good on gas mileage. And we're trying to live a simple life off the grid here. And that was kind of a counterproductive to what we're trying to do. That's how we came across Subaru. A few of our neighbors had it, and they said they're okay with it, they're happy with it. And then we noticed that this particular one, the Wilderness edition, sat maybe an inch higher, I think. And so with that, maybe we thought the shocks would be better, the tires would be more rubbery, more rubber than the rims. So we thought, and it's long, like a station wagon, like old station wagons used to be. I used to have an old station wagon. Oh, it wasn't old when I had it. It is old now. So we decided to go with this, and we've been it's just not quite 3 years now, and we're happy enough with it. It does what we want because it provides us with the space that we need, about the same as our other one, our old one, and it's very, very good with the bumpy, potholy, rough road, dirt roads, and decent gas mileage, and obviously the best all-wheel drive in the business, because they were the first. I remember when I was young, Subaru was the only car that had standard all-wheel drive on all their cars. So today I want to give you my feedback, if you're listening, Subaru, to what I would like to see coming up in your new models, if you would indulge me. Also, what I like about this particular one, your Outback Wilderness, and what I don't like. It's just, I'm honest. People have been, since I moved here now into my 11th year, people have been asking me to record my experience off the grid, because from the perspective of a former city dweller, we're not Amish. We have a car, we have batteries, we use renewables, we're not hardcore hippies or even regular core hippies. And so there are things that I don't like about this car, and I'm just telling you honestly, my honest feedback. And then there are things that I know a lot. If there's any Subaru Subaru lovers, multi vehicle Subaru owners that are not gonna like, but there are things that I think is ugly about it, and I don't necessarily mean the design. And I myself, I'm a bit of a designer. I design things, I build things, I build whimsical structures, I do graphics, I do calligraphy, I do typeset, I have, I don't want to say inventions, I've made things, I take things, I tinker with things, I take things that are already even made, built, and I improve on them. I've been doing that my whole life, and I think I can help you with this. And I know that you're not building a car just for me, I understand that, but I just thought that if you could hear me out, and maybe you'll agree with some of my feedback. While I have the camera angled at that particular angle, I only have this one camera. Let me tell you from the let's start with the front. I didn't know what I would think about this sort of grill. I thought it would be collecting bugs and snow, and that. Last year didn't have any problem with snow, but then maybe it was towards the end of the year that we got it. I don't know. But as far as the bugs go, because we are in the country, just the windshield, and this wasn't affected much, as opposed to our Hyundai, which would be covered in bugs. Odd, but somehow, yeah, worked well. The front-facing camera, when I go into the parking lots in the city, because the hood is so long, it's much longer than our Hyundai's. Well, not, I would say much longer, but it's longer than our Santa Fe. And so I have a hard time seeing, and I go, oh yeah, I have this camera. Let me press the camera. So I stop to press the camera, and the car shuts off. Now, I know you can press a button for the car not to shut off, but I'm just wondering why that camera shuts off when I haven't put the car in park, and there is a car in front of me. I'm getting close to it. I mean, I'm getting very close to the parking lot. There's a yellow line dividing the two spots. So I press the button. I stop the car, press the button to see where I'm going, and the car shuts off. Well, then that didn't help me. So I'm not sure how maybe I'm not using it right, but it didn't. It kind of, to me, felt like counterintuitive. This is the part you're not gonna like. This sort of a Z shape. I mean, I could take it or leave it, but and it just carries all the angular things. in my mind, if you want to go angular, angry, whatever look, go all the way. And if you want to go cute, roundish, whatever, go all the way that way. But this is, to me, I know a lot of diehard Subaru fans are now yelling at me now. This is just my opinion. This is neither here or there. It doesn't look aggressive. It doesn't look friendly. It doesn't, dirt can collect there. I'm more of a keep it simple kind of guy. And while we're on the subject of headlights, have you seen those, probably on Jeeps you might have seen, but other cars have them too. It's like a round circle, the halo or devil, I don't know, there are different names for them, aftermarket. They're daylight running lights that are different colors, like neon blue, neon green, neon orange, neon yellow, whatever. Some are not even neon, just bright white. And they look so cute from the distance. Or some people cover them up if it looks like someone's frowning. But regardless, Subaru, that a lot of Subaru owners, there are many forums, they buy their car, they start customizing it, they start lifting it up, they start doing all kinds of things to it. Personally, I'm not trying to put those aftermarket folks out of business, but I would rather buy directly from you, factory installed, whatever you're selling. So consider offering those extra things that people are going nuts spending so much money buying, and instead they can go to you as a trusted builder, the car that they like. So that's that. Now here's something I do like. These fog lights, Daisy, whatever you want to call them, whatever you call them, or some folks call them. They're very cute. They're cute. I like them. One thing though, I remember when I was little, any car that came out of, say, France, or automatically had their headlights yellow. So if you're going to offer fog lights, I've seen people change these to yellow aftermarket, but I think it would make sense if you change these to yellow as your stock and let people buy white if they want to, because fog lights, I associate them with yellow. They break through the fog, they can show better, or at the very least offer folks to, if they want to buy it in yellow or white. But the design of it is fine. That's nice. I like that. Actually, let me show you. The next thing I'm going to show you is under the hood. Speaking of the hood, you have a really nice where are you? Here. Sort of a jack stand or whatever for the trunk. Two heavy-duty supports that hold the trunk up. Why not the hood? This little flimsy thing, it's not particularly windy today, but if there was more wind, you would have to be careful about opening this thing. That other one, our Hyundai, that's now 11 years old, has those thick, I don't know, pump, like telescopic, that you have at the back. They have that for their hood. There's no need to fuss with finding this little straw-like thin thing to put on. You don't need to have your hands. You can just open it, it'll stay up, and it will stay up till you're ready to put it down. So I have to, for this next point, I have to bring it close to show you. Last time I was at the dealership, I asked them to have a look at, or at least I asked them to change, but at least to have a look at, there's some bolts and screws that are completely, in my opinion, rusted out. You see those two up there? And he came out and he sprayed something called rust check. And now you can't tell anymore, but I have another video that it shows it before he did that. And I thought that amount of rust was really excessive. That's what it looks like after he sprayed that rust check on it. you can't. He told me that's normal. He told me that's normal, and that's fine. And I thought, well, I mean, this car is not even 3 years old. It shouldn't have this kind of rust. And this to me is ugly. I'm not a fan of rust. Everybody knows about antioxidants by now. Anything that, and I mean, you have those bolts there for a reason. And if they're not to be, you know, I mean, why have them if they're not that essential? So eventually, those are going to fall out. And they were really flaking off as I was showing it to him. Now these are just the rusted bolts and screws that I can see. I don't know what's going on under where spots where I can't see. How bad can it be way down there? And what's holding the engine up? You might say that I'm maybe panicking too much, or I shouldn't worry so much. But I don't like rust, especially on a car that's not even 3 years old. That other car that's almost 11 years old is just the same or less rust. So I don't think Hyundai's doing that amazing of a job. But this is that's what I call ugly. So let me close that. That's it. But the rest is fine. So let's just go inside. And here's another thing that I don't like. By now, I may have left some of the die-hard Subaru owners behind, but really I'm not. This video is more for Subaru, the manufacturer. I'm pulling this back this far so you can actually see, but I don't need to go that far to show you what I want to show you. Let me see if I can. The center console, I guess if you can call it. See, I know you can see. I just look. See this thing here? It goes here and then it protrudes out by about an inch, if not more. It looks like a pyramid shape, the center console. So like a Mayan pyramid shape. I never had that before. I understand someone told me that this is a Subaru because they've lifted it up or whatever. That's why it has to be there. This is so big. But my other car, this was a straight down like an apartment as opposed to a pyramid. So it doesn't flare out. When I sit here, as I mentioned, most of my driving is highway driving. Sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes hour and a half, sometimes 3 hours. But it's very uncomfortable to have your foot on a 45-degree angle like this for that length of time. I think it's almost on the insane and the uncomfortable. Whereas the seats are comfortable, where everything else is fine, enough leg room, but just this part just bulges out like that, and you can't sit comfortably. Let me see if I can. See, it's hard to show it now because I pushed the seat back so far. So unless you're 6'5" or 6 something, unless they're 6'5" or 6 something, then I don't see how you can, because by that time, then you go back to this empty space, then you're fine again. Then you can put your leg right up here as opposed to there, right? So I can't imagine that all the Outback owners are that tall. You're going to have shorter people like me. You're going to have ladies that are not necessarily that tall. So, and then you have people from other countries that are just shorter in stature. So how this thing here, this whole thing, maybe it doesn't even have to go that far. It could be maybe half that distance could go in, like it's gone in here. And it would be just more leg room. It'd just be so much nicer. Again, in my opinion. For my needs. The other thing I wanted to show you is the sunroof, and maybe I will go and set the camera on the other side. Yeah, maybe I'll do that, and so you can see better what I'm talking about. So, there it is. So I don't mind having to open this manually. In fact, I wouldn't mind if the sunroof never opened at all. What I would like to see is if, right now I think it's about a foot deep and 2 feet wide. What I would like to see is if this sunroof could be at least twice as long, as big. Our other car had a panoramic sunroof, and inside it felt so airy and bright. Now I know that I live in the forest and in the wilderness, and I have lots of open spaces, and I love that. As opposed to all those decades that I lived in the city, it was all crammed and claustrophobic. But I can't imagine anyone not wanting this extra bit of light. And so I know I've heard the argument that people sleep on their roofs on a Subaru Outback, but people, don't they do that on Forester too? Really, that's not an excuse to have this tiny little thing. Now, if you decide to do this, I don't know if you'll listen to me or even get this video, but if you decide to hear me out, if you're going to redesign this, please, one thing you could do is, nobody needs to have a sunroof right over their head. So why not move this? If you double the size of this opening, then move it back a little bit. Move it back by another foot, right? So start it from here, maybe here, and then go 3 feet that way. So it's not over anyone's head. It's smack in the middle of the car. That would be appreciated. And again, if you don't want it to open, I would even be okay with it, because I've never opened any of the sunroofs on any of my cars. It's just, I have no need for it. Either in the highway or in the city, no need for it. So if there's a matter of cost, motor or whatever, it's these seals and all that. I don't know what, but that would be appreciated if you could do that. Okay, let me come around and get you. Now, when it comes to liking the features that I do like, one feature is the fact that it sits up higher than our other car, or most cars. Really, except you're getting a pickup truck, they're more or less the same ground clearance. But I have an idea, a suggestion, a wish list. As part of my wish list is that how unusual would it be for you to, not unusual, would it be okay, how likely would it be that you could increase this ground clearance to, say, 12 inches, so a foot from whatever it is now, 9.6. And I say that because sometimes there are snow drifts, sometimes there are bigger potholes or whatever. It's not, I mean, I would like it if you could, but if this is one of the things that you don't want to do, maybe for whatever reason, the cost or whatever, because you already know, look at the forums, people even buy the Wilderness edition and they lift it. So there's a need. That there's a want for sure. So if you could raise this up to maybe up to here, so this would be, the bottom would be here rather than there. And then, now this would be really pushing it, I guess. But you know how Land Rover, Range Rovers, they're able to, they give you the ability to lower or increase the ground clearance. So the application for that would be, in the highway, it could be lowered from 12 inches to 8 inches, say. And when you're going slow, a bit of on rough terrain or if people want to take it off-roading, then they can bring it back up to 12 inches. So then when you're in the highway, there's less drag, you know, the coefficient drag, and better mileage, and a quieter ride. And then when they're going slow, they have to go over rocks and things, and they're up, and they're not worried about scraping the bottom of it. That would be nice if you could do. But 9 inches is just adequate at this point. I'm just going to go around. I think I had a whole list, but I can't remember. Oh yes, let's go back here. Now to the trunk. I know it sounds like I'm asking for a lot of things, but the thing is that I'm a designer, like I explained earlier. I love tinkering and improving on things, and this is one thing. Doing this kind of thing is what I do. So look, this here, I know you're probably you and other Subaru owners are going to tell me it's there for a reason. It's there for a purpose. It's serving a purpose. What I see is that when it snows, or actually you can maybe see how there's like 4 inches of dirt and grime built up there, and it hasn't even really snowed here. When it snows and you go to clean it, snow gets jammed right in the corner, and that can become ice, and it's just a mess. And right now, it's just dirt and rain that's built up there, and it's a mess. And so it just reduces your visibility at the same time, because this wiper can only wipe so much. So I don't know if you'd be open to possibly removing this black chunk. I don't know the purpose of it, but I mean, it may look cool, but only maybe if you live in California. I don't know where you would have to live that you're not going to collect grime. And imagine if you're washing it, if you go into a car wash, or they would have a hard time if you're washing it by hand. You got to do the top first, then you got to do the bottom first, then you got to. Anyway, that's just me. There was a couple of things I forgot to mention while I was showing you the lower angle, and that is these are them. Here you have this black plastic sort of a guard. That other door sill, I don't know, whatever you call it, that other one, our Subaru, has the same thing, but it's stainless steel or some kind of metal that's not rusted. So I'm assuming it's stainless steel after all these years. But I mean, this is okay, but honestly, I think for the purposes of Canada or most countries, to have paint here, this whole thing could be made out of that plastic. Just like you have this plastic sort of a cladding here, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So here too, because white, we don't really need to have paint over here. If this vehicle is made to be rugged, then like I was saying before, go rugged, go all the way, make it rugged all the way. And so I remember old Subaru Legacies, I think they were called, before the predecessor to Outback. They had, the cladding came up to here. I think that's what, I don't need these glasses. I think that's what, at least, the very least, the Wilderness Edition should have. Cladding that's pretty high, because really we don't need paint. We're going to go, it's sort of a you're going sort of an almost even like off the beaten path. So you don't need to have paint here that's just going to rust or get scratched or whatever. Whereas this plastic, no one cares. So up to here would be nice. So you see how you've gone up here so high up? I mean, why did you go so high up here? For a purpose. So then in the door, it's as if you left that alone. And same for this here. I mean, this whole thing, this whole patch doesn't need to be doesn't need to be painted. And in the front too, there's a part in the front that also doesn't need to have this. And sometimes this may already be starting to look like, and it's happened to most cars, starting to go off white, sort of a creamy color, whereas this is pearl white. And as time goes by, and this becomes more yellow or creamy, and that stays white, and it shows it. I'm not sure why car manufacturers aren't fixing that. And the second thing I was going to say has to do with inside. Not just a just a minute. I don't know if you can see under this. I have to remove this. Sorry, excuse my back. Oh, I put 2 layers of. All right, I guess I gotta remove that one too. Look, what do you see there? What do you see there? Carpeting. Carpeting? I mean, no car. It doesn't matter if you live in California, Florida, or in Canada. You don't need carpeting, because places where it doesn't snow, they get rain. They don't get rain, they get muck, they get dust, they get dirt. Carpet, it just collects that stuff and becomes hard and ugly. And if there's snow, there's like snow, there's salt on it. It's just cruddy and ugly. And especially on a Wilderness Edition, we need carpeting on the Wilderness Edition. Honda once had a Honda Element that inside of it was all rubber. You could even hose it down if you wanted to. That's what, honestly, really, truly, that's what at the very least your Wilderness Edition should have. It should have rubberized or rubber flooring. Probably dampen the sound better. It may even cost less. This thing makes no sense to me. It's a head scratcher, honestly. I don't get it. And I think you really should consider changing that to rubber that you can easily wash, your dirty boots, whatever. And finally, one last thing, and this is not unique to to Subaru, and that is this. Now, I rarely sit in the back, rarely if ever sit in the back, but wouldn't it be good on higher trims, like from Wilderness up, if you could offer or have standard available, what do you call it, tri-zone, climate zone, whatever, so even people in the back could also adjust how much heat they want or where they want it. Wouldn't that be nice if you could do it? I know more expensive cars have it, and you might even have that in your Premier, I'm not sure, package. But that's something that if you could do would be nice. People care about their kids, or you don't even have to be kids. It could be young adults sitting in the back, just making it more comfortable. It wouldn't hurt. Anyway, with that said, I want to thank you for hearing me out and my